For years, a single label has been slapped onto Identity V by the gaming world: the Dead by Daylight clone. As a longtime Dead by Daylight player with thousands of hours in the fog, I was right there with them. I saw the 4v1 setup, the generators, cipher machines, and the mad dash for the exit gates, and honestly, I wrote it off. It just looked like a mobile game wearing a Tim Burton-esque trench coat. Familiar, but less. But what if I told you that under the surface, this clone had been quietly changing, growing, and in some critical ways, has actually started to outshine the game it copied? Today we're going to explore why calling Identity V a mere clone is selling it incredibly short. By the end, you might just see it for what it's become, a completely different beast. Really fast, I don't normally do this, but since Identity V isn't dead yet like my other videos, I would love to get the word out. If you like this video or Identity V and want to help make it more visible, please consider using YouTube's new hype feature. It really helps make the video more visible to a larger audience. Sorry for the interruption. With that out of the way, let's address the elephant in the room. Now, before we tear down the clone argument, let's give it some credit. The Foundation is, without a doubt, almost a perfect copy of Dead by Daylight. It's a 4v1 asymmetrical survival horror game. 4 survivors scramble to pop 5 objectives and power the exit gates, all while a single, terrifying hunter tries to yeet them out of the game. The hunter puts them on rocket chairs, which are basically hooks. You've also got a terror radius, that familiar heartbeat thumping louder as the killer gets close. Survivors vault windows and drop pallets to make space, creating noise and risking being found. Teamwork is everything. You heal your friends, and you can pull them off those chairs right before they blast off. The hunter even gets stronger as the match goes on by landing hits. It all sounds exactly like a certain other game we all know and love, and for a long time, that's where the conversation stopped. It was just a free-to-play, cartoony alternative, and one you could play on your phone. While Dead by Daylight was primarily on PC and console, Identity V brought the asymmetrical horror experience to mobile and later PC. This just reinforced the clone idea for many, a simplified version for a different market. But that's only the blueprint. The moment you look closer, everything starts to change, starting with the single most important part of the game, which is the characters. This is where the whole clone idea just completely shatters. In Dead by Daylight, every survivor is basically a blank slate. Whether you're a Dwight main or a Meg main, their core gameplay is identical. The real difference comes from a massive shared pool of perks you grind for and slap onto any character to create a build. It's a system of deep but totally external customization. Identity V looks at that idea and throws it right at the window. Here, every survivor is a unique character with their own built-in, unchangeable abilities. They aren't just skins, they're distinct classes with jobs to do. You've got decoders, who are cipher-rushing machines, rescuers, who are built like tanks to make saves, and kiters, whose job is it to be an absolute menace and waste the hunter's time. Take someone like the mechanic. She has a remote-controlled doll that can decode ciphers for her, open exit gates, or even take a hit for a teammate. That's not a perk, that's just her. This creates a strategic choice that just isn't in Dead by Daylight. Do you send your doll to a far-off cipher while you work on another one, splitting the pressure but risking the doll getting destroyed? The strategy is completely up to you. Then you have characters like the Priestess, who creates portals through solid walls for the entire team, making brand new escape routes on the fly. Or the Seer, who can grant a teammate an owl that completely blocks the next hit they take. These abilities would be game-breaking in Dead by Daylight, but in Identity V, they're the norm. This completely changes the game. You're not playing against 4 randoms with whatever the meta perks are, you're playing against a specific team composition whose abilities have to work together. There's also a character draft phase in high-level play, where both sides can ban characters, and this feels more like a MOBA than a horror game. It adds a competitive strategy that its counterpart just doesn't have. This massive difference in character design causes a ripple effect that changes the entire game, especially when it comes to the 2 most heated topics in the genre, camping and tunneling. In Dead by Daylight, camping a hooked survivor is widely seen as toxic and inefficient. The game has even added mechanics over the years specifically to punish killers who hang around the hook. The goal is to keep the chase going. Identity V looks at camping and says, yeah, let's do that, but on purpose. The entire game is balanced around it. When a survivor is placed on a rocket chair, the timer actually speeds up if the hunter is nearby, forcing the other survivors to come and do something about it. This is the entire point of the Rescuer class. Characters like Mercenary can absorb multiple hits before going down, making him perfect for a dive bomb save against a camping hunter. Another example, First Officer has a pocket watch that makes both him and the person he saves invincible for a short time after the rescue. This creates a totally different flow. The game stops being just about running in circles, it becomes a series of tense, calculated showdowns around the rocket chair. The hunter's job is to secure the kill while fighting off the rescue squad, and the survivors have to coordinate a safe rescue without losing too much time on their ciphers. It's a deliberate, strategic dance that makes every single hook a major team fight, not just a frustrating waiting game. This philosophy makes the whole game feel fast, incredibly fast. Matches are shorter, usually lasting around 10 minutes, but what's even faster is the pace of updates. While Dead by Daylight's meta can feel stale for months, Identity V is in a constant state of flux, with frequent balance changes and new characters shaking things up. It feels like a living game that's always evolving. That being said, it's good to point out that a rapidly shifting meta isn't for everyone. It can push players away that have spent dozens of hours learning a character or a strategy. And then there's the Persona Web. While it's similar to Dead by Daylight's Blood Web for unlocking things, the Persona Web is a talent tree that adds another layer of strategy. Both survivors and hunters put points into different paths to get major passive abilities, like Tide Turner, which grants temporary invincibility after a rescue, or Borrowed Time, which gives you a health state and a speed boost when the last cipher pops. This, combined with the unique characters, allows for a ton of build diversity that rewards smart planning before you even load into the match. Beyond the gameplay, Identity V sets itself apart with its whole aesthetic and business model. The Tim Burton-inspired gothic style, with its button-eyed characters and creepy but whimsical horror, gives the game a personality all its own. It's less about bloody, realistic horror and more about a dark fairy tale vibe. This has helped it find a huge audience that might be turned off by Dead by Daylight's more graphic style. And that appeal is backed by a free-to-play model that is, on the surface, player-friendly. The game doesn't feel pay-to-win, as the vast majority of characters can be earned with in-game currency you get just by playing. The real money-making is almost all about cosmetics from direct purchases or a gacha system. However, this is where the friendliness can start to fade. While gacha can be a scary word for some, the bigger issue is often the direct cost of high-tier skins, with some of the most sought-after outfits costing upwards of $35 and even far more for the rarest tiers. This is especially true during the popular crossover events with franchises like Persona 5 and The Promised Neverland. So while the core gameplay is accessible, collecting your favorite looks can become a very expensive hobby. On top of that, some limited-time crossover characters might only be available during specific events. While this can lock you out of a few characters for a while, most of the core roster is accessible. Naturally, no competitive game is perfect. The community is always debating balance, especially since new characters are released so fast. Like any game in this genre, matchmaking can sometimes be a nightmare. These are just the growing pains of a game that isn't afraid to be different and is always changing. So, is Identity V a clone? It absolutely started as one. It was built on the brilliant foundation that Dead by Daylight created. But to say that's all it is today does it a massive disservice. It took that initial idea and sprinted in a totally different direction. It swapped universal perks for unique character identities, creating a team experience that feels more like a hero shooter. It rejected the idea that camping is bad and instead built its entire game around it. This created a unique tug-of-war at every hook that you just don't get in DBD. It embraces a faster pace, a more distinct art style, and a commitment to constant evolution that keeps it from ever feeling solved. I'm gonna be honest, I came into this game a total skeptic, a Dead by Daylight veteran ready to make a video laughing at the copycat. I'm leaving convinced that Identity V isn't a clone, it's an evolution. It looked at the formula and asked, what if we did this differently? And in doing so, it truly became its own beautiful, chaotic beast. But hey, that's just my take on the game. I really want to know what you guys think. Do you agree that Identity V has pushed the genre forward in some ways? What are the biggest differences that stand out for you? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, think about subscribing for more deep dives. Thank you for watching.